I'm 74 years old, and this is the first time I've said this out loud. I spent most of my life confusing being busy with having purpose, and now that the noise has stopped, I can finally hear what I was avoiding. I'm not telling this because I need forgiveness. I don't expect understanding. I'm telling it because time has thinned out around me, and there's not much left to hide behind. My days are quieter now. Too quiet sometimes. I wake up early out of habit, even though there's nowhere I need to be. I still make coffee like I'm late for something. I still glance at the clock. Old reflexes. When you get to this age, the future stops feeling like a place you're headed. It feels more like a hallway that's already behind you, and you're just standing there looking back at the doors you didn't open. I wasn't a careless man. I wasn't reckless. I did what people said you were supposed to do. I worked. I showed up. I said yes more than I said no. I stayed late. I filled my calendar. I carried responsibility, like a badge. I told myself it all mattered. In my 20s I thought busyness was ambition. Everyone around me did. Long hours meant you were serious. Being tired meant you were building something. Rest felt suspicious. I remember my first real job. Grey cubicles, coffee that tasted burnt, the hum of fluorescent lights. I liked the feeling of being needed. I liked having a reason to rush. I met my wife during those years. We ate dinners late, standing up sometimes. We talked about vacations we'd take. Once things slowed down, we laughed about how hectic everything was. We meant it when we said we'd make time later. In my 30s and 40s, the days blurred together. Meetings, deadlines, small wins that felt big at the time. I learned how to answer emails fast. I learned how to sound confident even when I wasn't sure. I told myself I was providing. I told myself this was love, just shaped differently. There were birthdays I missed because I was almost done with something. School events I skipped because work needed me. Conversations I postponed because I was too tired to be present. I didn't ignore people on purpose. That's the part that still stings. I always thought I'd get back to them. The damage didn't arrive with a crash. It arrived quietly, like dust. It settled in places I didn't look very often. Friends stopped calling as much, not out of anger, just habit. My children learned not to interrupt me. My wife learned to go to things alone. At the time, none of it felt dramatic. It felt normal. That's how it gets you. I remember one night coming home late and finding the house dark, everyone already asleep. I stood in the kitchen eating leftovers cold from the fridge. I told myself tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow became a comfortable lie. The turning point wasn't a grand moment. It rarely is. It was a phone call telling me a colleague had died suddenly. Same age, same schedule. I went to the funeral, listened to people list his accomplishments, and felt a strange hollowness. I drove home afterward and realized I didn't know what I'd want them to say about me. Later, much later, my wife got sick. Not suddenly. Slowly. The kind of illness that rearranges your life without asking permission. I sat beside hospital beds and waiting rooms, holding her hand, realizing how little practice I had at being still. I wished I could trade every late night at the office for one ordinary afternoon I'd skipped. She passed away before we ever took those trips we talked about. That's when the clarity arrived, not as wisdom, as weight. There are things that cannot be fixed. That's the truth people avoid saying. You can't go back and attend a missed childhood. You can't retroactively listen better. You can't reopen a moment once it's closed. I have grandchildren now. They know me as the quiet old man who watches more than he speaks. They don't know the version of me who was always in a hurry. Sometimes I wonder who I would have been if I'd chosen differently. Not more successful, just more present. Success is a strange thing. It fades faster than you expect. Titles disappear. Projects get replaced. The work you thought defined you becomes a footnote. What remains are the people, or the absence of them. If you're listening to this, I won't tell you what to do. I don't have that right. I'll only tell you what I wish I'd known. Being needed is not the same as being loved, and being busy is not the same as being alive. Purpose doesn't announce itself with urgency. Sometimes it shows up quietly and waits to see if you'll notice. If this meant something to you, sit with it for a moment. That's all. I don't have much time left, but I have enough to tell the truth. And that feels like something worth doing before the lights go out.